Recording is started. So you can reach us over the social media using the about channels. Then about the speaker, she is Anita Ishwaran and she is having 17 plus years of experience on AX, F&O and integrations. And currently she is residing in UK and she has a blog. You can reach out on that anitasantosh.wordpress.com and her LinkedIn link. So you can reach out to her and you can see her multiple certifications. And currently she's working as senior digital architect in Sonata Software Europe. Thank you so much, Anita, for taking us time and helping the community to learn and put some effort over the weekend and educating all of us.
Yeah. Thanks,
Over to you,
Venkatesh.
Anita. You can share your screen.
One moment, yeah. Do you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Thanks all for joining the session. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone who are all joining from different parts of the world. And thanks for taking out the time during the weekend and attending the session. And thanks to our community and Venkatesh for giving me an opportunity to present this session and share my knowledge across our community. So yeah, just a quick agenda. So about me anyway, Venkatesh had already given. So if you want to reach out to me, I am available in the LinkedIn and you can always follow my blog where I will be sharing all the recent updates, whatever learning I am doing, you will have a frequent updates in that blog. And even if you follow my LinkedIn, you will be able to get the regular updates of my post. And the next one is a brief walkthrough about the Power Platform. Anyway, this is a regular topic, but just a quick glimpse of what the Power Platform is about and our use case today. So just a quick glance of what our problem statement is and how we will be addressing it using the recent features available in Power Platform. So here I am going to use the AA Builder as well and see how we can achieve our use case using this AA Builder and import the data to F&O. And here, what are all the AA components? Just a brief walkthrough of it. And I will be giving a system demo as well, because here you need to train the AA model and how do you set up the Power Platform, Power Automate. So this I will be a quick demo. I will giving you a quick demo of that. And last is the key takeaways. So Power Platform, this is I think you are already familiarized with the picture, what you see in the screen. Even a couple of weeks back, Rachit was also giving us a walkthrough of Power Platform and his session on that. So I'm sure you would have attended that. And so these are all the components with the Power Platform, Power BI, especially for the reporting and the analytics purpose. Power Apps. So irrespective of various from whatever skill sets you have, Power Apps will be a familiar one for you because here there is no code or low code solution here. And Power Automate, so as it says, it is just a automation of various workflows. And you have Power Virtual Agents, which is a quick chatbots for you. So, and with all this, you will have the option of data connectors, and now with the recent feature of AI Builder Copilot, and also where you have a main feature of common data service. So, and the next one, just another slide on Power Automate. So since our session is on Power Automate and F&O, I will just give you a brief walkthrough of what we are going to do. So as it says, Power Automate, it automates the workflows quickly and more securely. Since it is hosted, then it's a cloud hosted, so it will be the security will be mostly on the Azure Active Directory. And you let you be from the various skill sets, so you don't need to worry about coding and all. So it's just a low code, and you have many drag and drop tools here, so which will be able to facilitate all your complex tasks into a simple one. And you have multiple pre-built connectors every day, every month you get new connectors, and you have multiple templates. And of course, now a couple of months now, recently we have so many AI assistants also, so which helps you to automate the repetitive task here. And our main focus is the flows. So because Power Automate and flows goes hand in hand. So they are the main building blocks in automating the workflows, especially in the Power Automate. So here is our use case. So you have, so for example, if you are in in the ERP, you would be getting various emails and with various attachments, right? With different attachments you will be getting, and every time you cannot go, it is not possible for the users to go and upload every time manually. So it can be uploaded there. For example, vendors, for example, the users are getting the vendor receipts or the purchase order agreements from various vendors. They will be in a different format as well, right? So it is not possible to scan each and every vendor details and then go and upload against that particular purchase order or whatever the forms. So this use case mainly focuses on how do you read it from a shared location. Let it be from a mailbox or a SharePoint or a OneDrive. In whichever location it is, you will be able to read the files, and using the Power Automate and the API in F&O, we will be uploading the attachment to F&O. So here I have taken a simple use case of uploading the attachment to a purchase order. So I'm going to read a invoice or the purchase order agreement, and then I'm going to upload against it. And this will be a real time. So it's like as soon as as soon as a receipt arrives in particular mailbox or the location, it will be immediately sent. It will be a trigger based. So it is also possible to make it real time and trigger the attachment to F&O. And of course, so every time you don't need to go and see what the against which vendor this particular receipt is against. So that is where we are pitching in the AI builder. So that does the job of reading and scanning the key fields here. For example, here I am going to upload the particular receipt against the purchase order form. So here it will be retrieving the purchase order and then uploading against it the purchase order, the particular purchase order record. So here it simplifies the job of reading and scanning the records here. And yeah, so what is the purpose of AI? So via AI, you will be able to enhance your flows because it adds additional intelligence to your flows. And also it is just like a point and click experience. Where you will be able to improve the business performance as well. Point and click means here you are going to train your AI model. It's not a, it's training means you are going to give a sample of all the records to your AI model, read it, and then that takes care of doing your job of uploading to the correct purchase order or whoever the vendor is about. So here you will be mentioning the key fields which you want to focus on. So that adds, so that is what intelligence to your flows. And here you will be able to publish the model as well here. So you don't need to have any additional data skills or any you don't need to have any rocket science skills. A simple skill is enough where you wanted to train the model, that is fine. And document automation, yeah, since uploading the document is every time we need to keep track of a document, right? So how do you repeat it? How do you avoid a manual task here? So that is where the document automation in AI, we are going to make use of this. So this is how we are going to enhance your flows in Power Automate using AI Builder. And if you see, these are all the AI components. I am sure if you are already aware about it. If not, you can just have a quick glance. This is about form processing, where this is our use case here. By a form processing component, we are going to train the model to read the invoice or the receipts, whatever the document you want. It will be easy for you to get the job done for you. And the next is object detection. Via it will be able to recognize your images or the videos and then upload it against the specific objects. Test classification. For example, if you want to route the particular mail to another department, so you'll be able to filter it based on the keyboard. So here in this case, you will be training the model to identify that particular text and then route it to some department. So it can be tweaked in any ways. So it depends on entirely on your requirement. Business card reader. So for example, if you are creating a contact or a customer or a vendor, you don't need to every time manually do it. So if a business card is available, you will be able to extract the information from it, and you can train the AI builder to read the component, to read the contents, and automatically does the contacts creation or the customer creation for the user. And of course, the prediction, the list is enormous, but here I have covered these main components. So prediction, it will also predict with the past historical data. It will also be able to predict the outcomes as well. So with Power Automate and AI Builder hand in hand together, you will be able to automate the process, integrate the systems, So with this AA builder, and you will be able to make the data-driven decisions. So with all these features combined, it will be able to improve the productivity across the organization, right? So in this case, you are avoiding multiple repetitive tasks, which are time-consuming tasks. Even if you want to do your task out of the business hours, the users don't need to depend on any other user. This can also be done by the Power Automate automatically. So this is just a promising platform which makes our life easier and with minimum error-free approach. Now we will go back to our system demo. Yeah. So how do you enable? Now I am speaking about the AA builder, right? So how do you enable this AA builder in Power Platform? So if you see, you need to be an admin here, admin.powerplatform.com. So here you have in environment, in the settings, against this you have features. So here only you will be uploading all the features, and you need to come and enable here. So here AA builder and co-bytelet. So whatever features you want to enable here, you can reach out to the admin.powerplatform.com and the features can be enabled. So now on to your Power Automate. So here you have an option of AA builder, and I have already created a model for me here. So how do we use this model? I will tell you. So let me just quickly give you how do we train the model. So as soon as you click a new model, you will be presented with various options. So here invoice processing, text acquisition. So whatever I have said, the AA components, right? So these are all available already here. So since our radar is the invoice processing, if you see, they would have already given us multiple templates. You can either use the templates. Obviously, these templates will not be useful for us. The reason being, there will be multiple vendors. For example, since ours is a power purchase order related, there will be many vendors with different receipt formats, right? So how do you do it? What you can do is, you can create a custom model. That would take some time to load. So here is where you are going to train. I am speaking about train the AA model, right? So here you will be training your AA model by uploading the various information here. For example, here, this is a template which has been already given by the AA builder. So if you want to add any other additional field, for example, here I am going to add the currency as my field. You can add it. Click next. And here you are going to create a collection. What is collection here means? You are going to upload various types of receipts, your document, which says that from which you are going to tell the AA builder, these are all the set of documents which it has to scan and then recognize, read the data and do the work for you. So this is what is a collection. So here at least it is expecting us for minimum 5 collection here. So for example, here I have few collections. It is a simple document it's a simple report. At the moment, I didn't had any other report with me, so I have downloaded a report. So here you can assume it as your vendor having different format. So here you are going to train your AA model, which is the field it has to be recognized. You will have different formats, right? Vendors, they will not have a unique format for everyone. So different formats will be there. So you can upload any number of formats in your system, in your AA model, and then train it accordingly. So here you are going to train your model by uploading all the documents here. It is loading. So I need to upload the collection here. Otherwise, if it is taking time, let us give us few seconds. Let us see whether it is loading or not. So here the purpose of the step is with the various sample of different receipts, the AI model will be trained to identify the keys. The keys here means the different number of fields to identify which is the value it has to be read and then upload it against the particular record in FNO. So since it is taking time, let me show the model here. which I have already created it. See, this is already created and published. I will edit the model. Okay, so here I have already added a new field called currency for my choice. So if you have any other additional custom fields or as per your or as per the user requirement, you will be able to add various documents, various fields also here for currency or the vendor name, whatever it is, you will be able to add. And the next step is here I have uploaded the collection. In the collection, I will be telling what are the fields which are needed to be mapped in this particular training. And the next one is here, for example, here, these are all the documents which I have uploaded. So if you see, I would have tagged the new field called currency here. So for example, here, this is how you are training. Okay, identify this field in this particular format and then use it for your next step in Power Automate. So here I have done various document scanning here. So for example, here you can go and attach. For example, this is where you will be attaching the value. You can click on any field and where a new field will be automatically popped up here. So this is how you are going to map the new field, or you can even modify the existing field in the template and then bring it here. And this is a summary of what are all the documents that have been tagged here. And the last one is you need to click the train. So clicking on this train button would take some time. The reason being, here I have uploaded only 5 documents, but in the regular, in a normal scenario, you will have multiple documents, right? You can even upload 50, 60, 70 types of documents here to train your model. So here this step would take some time, but here it ensures that all the documents, whatever you have mapped and whatever the keys have been mapped here, it will ensure the AI model reads and does the job for you. Let me go back here. And it is not that you should be also able to, once that model is trained, I am just skipping that step. The reason being this would take some time. Once the model is trained, you need to publish the model. Only then this will be visible in F1 in the Power Automate step. Let me do it. Okay, so in the AI models here, how do you publish the model? That will be the next step here. So once the model is trained, so if I go, you have something. If I click here, you have an option. And if it is not published, you have an option here to publish the model. So this is where you need to click and publish the model. You will be getting an option here. Since the option is already, since the document is already, that AI model is already published, here the option is not visible. Otherwise, this is where you need to publish. This step is crucial here. If you don't publish the model, this will not be visible in our Power Automate or the other external applications. So make sure this step is not skipped. Now, with the AI model ready for us, let me go back to my flow. I will give a quick walkthrough of what the flow is doing. So at the moment, I am manually triggering the flow. So your use case might be, the flow will be triggered as soon as the mail is received in the particular mailbox where the receipt is dropped, or via SharePoint. It depends on the use case for you. And at the moment, I have uploaded the file in my OneDrive where the documents are residing. It's not the other documents. At the moment, I am using the document of this particular one, a normal purchase order work document. And so via the OneDrive OneDrive attachment, I am going to read all these files. And here, using this get file content, this one, how do you do it is, this will be the output from the previous step where you are going to read the files from this particular folder. So here in this case, if it is a mailbox, you need to tweak it accordingly, because anyway, Power Automate has various connectors, right, for Outlook or SharePoint or mailbox. So here you will be able to make use of whatever the connector you want here. Set file content is not a regular file content from the previous step. If I show the code here, you need to convert the content to base 64. So it has to be converted to this content, base 64 content. And The next step is, so here is what the AA model is doing for you. If you remember, we had already published the model. So that model is visible here. And here, since our form type is a PDF document, you have various options to execute. You have various options to choose the form type. So at the moment, since it is PDF document, I am choosing here. So if yours is image or any other format, you will be able to choose it. And this also varies according to the option you choose here. For example, if I see AI Builder, you will be able to see various types of actions which are presented here. So I have chosen the information from this particular action. You will be able to choose the information from other actions as well. It depends on the problem statement, what you're working on here. For instance, I said that we need to classify the text as well, right? So if you have trained your model to classify the text, you will be able to use this particular option. Or even I have told about the business card, right? So even from the business card, you will be able to extract the information and then train the model. So depends on which action you are doing and which what is the use case and what is the connector you need to use here. So this is the connector in Power Automate you need to select. And yes, and here I am just only extracting, just these are all the initialized variables. So where I am, these variables are created just to as a parameter to the document where I am going to pass this information to FNO for uploading the document. So for at the moment, I have selected the purchase order header document attachment. So this is the entity what is already present in FNO. So if you want to have any custom entity, you will be able to use that as well. So here FNO via OData approach, you will be able to expose all the entities with the to the third party application. So even everything is secured. And at the moment, I have taken the purchase order where I will be uploading this particular attachment against the purchase order header. So if you see the body, you have various fields. So not all the fields in the entity have been used, but some are key fields. So that make sure it is present in your request. Otherwise, you will end up in an error. And especially focus on the file content, because based on the file content only, you will be able to see the attachment in your end system. And if it is whether it is a default attachment or not, whether it is what is the type of file here. In our case, the file type is PDF, so that one we need to mention. And file name, it is a user defined, so it is not specific. You can give any value in that. And purchase order number, this is one of the entity key field in this particular entity. So if you don't specify this purchase order number, then the flow will fail. The reason being, this is one of the required field in posting this entity. And the attachment, yeah, obviously, since we are doing the attachment, upload the attachment here, this is also one of the key field. And here the attachment type code is file. So on top of that, you need to also do the Active Directory OAuth, because you need to give the authorization here, which does the authorization token for you, and it automatically sends the data to FNO. So now with this flow as ready, now let us execute it. Here you have an option of run the flow. Done. So this is executing. So this would take some time to execute, because AA builder has to be called here. So see, now it is executed. If you want to see how the flow is executed, you can go here. I have just initialized the file. These are all the initialization doc steps, and I am reading it from the folder. So if you see, the output of this step is the file which I have already uploaded. At the moment, I have uploaded only one file in my folder, but obviously in our real-time scenario, you will have multiple files, right? So these steps make sure that it reads all the files in the folder what you have configured here. So if you see the media type, it is PDF format. And the next one is getting the file content. As I said, it is in the base 64 format. So this you cannot directly pass it to the to FNO. So it has to be converted to the base 64 format. And the next is extract of the information of the documents. So here, if you see, the AI builder has already given you the output by scanning all the fields, whatever you have configured in your AI model training step. So this makes sure that the document is read and it is extracting the information for you. For example, this is the vendor for you, and here you also have the purchase order details. All this will be given as an output in this particular step. So, and the next one here is I am getting the purchase order for me. So the purchase order, as I said, it is from the previous step. So it is from this step. Let me take it for you. See here, if you see, including the vendor address here, all these have been captured. So it is reading the document and then getting the details for you. So from this step only, we are going to get the details of the purchase order. So this step is crucial here. The reason being that is the step which avoids our manual input here. There is no need of you need to search for the purchase order and then upload it against it. So, and the next is, see, this has given me the output of against which purchase order I am going to upload. And via this API, a moment, let me expand it. Okay. So via this API, the document will be uploaded. Now, if I go to the purchase order in FNO, let me just go to FNO and show how the document has been uploaded. If I go here, so if you see, there are already, for my testing yesterday, I was using whether it is uploading or not. So on top of it, you have the third one. If you see 22 today's date with the time which has been attached here. And one thing you need to note here is, if you the one of the main key here is the document ID. So if you want to update the existing document which has been attached here, you need to pass the document ID. So otherwise it will be uploading as a new file every time. So for example, what I'm coming to say here is, yesterday I was trying to upload these two files. So the same file I have used for uploading it again. So in this case, the system did not go for updating the existing document. The reason being document ID is the key here. Since document ID is system generated, this time when I am executing the flow, it has created a new document ID and upload it against this particular purchase order. And if you see, you have an option to preview the file as well. And whatever the information you have given in the flow, that has been automatically captured here. So yeah, and let me go back to one moment. Yeah, so here you will be able to keep track of what are all the runs you have, what are all the successful runs you have done here. And yeah, and thus we have achieved the use case of uploading the document from the existing any location, whatever you have configured, be it SharePoint or the mailbox, and attach it to the record based on the key value what is identified by the AI builder. So here the chances are very minimal that there will be thin error. There will be thin chances of errors where it happens. Otherwise, usually it will be error free. And yeah, let me go back to the screen here. So here the key takeaways are, how did we enable the AI builder in FNO? So if you should have an admin access to enable the feature, be it a co-pilot or AI builder. So it depends on the user security, the user roles here. Otherwise, you will not be able to get this option if you're not a system admin. And the other next one is, how did we train this particular model to read your document, scan your document for the key fields, I extract the details from the document, and all those have been already will be, it is a train, the model is trained here. And the next one is the flow. So here the two main steps are getting the file content, because as such you will not be able to give the same file content. You need to convert it to base 64 format, the file content what has been read. And the next step is extracting the information from the documents, where you have using the AA builder connector. So that does the job for us, and then sending the attachment to FNO. So because earlier we didn't had a forward approach of uploading the document to FNO. It was earlier via the Power Automate, or here we don't even use the data was functionality here. So either otherwise we had other option of using the Power Apps, where you will be reading it and then dropping the file from there. So with this use case, it is an easy job for us to upload the file or the document to FNO. So if you have any questions, you can let us know.
And that was a very nice presentation, Anita. Yes, Bhupati,
Thank
you
you,
have a question?
Venkatesh.
Yeah, thanks for such a nice presentation and the skill that you have shared with us. I have a question in terms of loading the data to the data entities, right? See, when we come to the migration concept, see, we used to load the bulk data to the D365 FNO from the legacy systems, right?
Right.
So how far these Power Automate will help us in migrating the suppose in a bulk data from the legacy to here using the data standard data entities, kind of any automation. Suppose if you'll have the recurring loads will be there
Right.
actually. So how best this Power Automate can help us? Can you please?
Okay, so this is not, I am not going to say you from the document attachment perspective. So let us take a
Okay.
general scenario where you need to upload the data in FNO from the
Yes.
external system. So you have two
Yes. Absolutely.
approaches here. One is REST API, the one which I have shown you here. This is called OData API. So this has some limitation. So you will be able to upload maximum 6,000 records. If you cross more than 6,000 records during one call, you have a chance of throttling. Throttling means where it has reached the maximum limit, and after that the system goes to a state where it cannot accept more records at that moment. So this is via OData API. The next one is coming to a point of recurrence. So during
Yeah.
recurrence, it will be divided as a batch. So each batch
Okay.
will be able to handle particular set of records. For example, each batch will be able to hold 100 records. So via recurrence, you will be able to handle bulk import or bulk export. But in the OData or the API call, you have a limitation of 6,000 or max to max 7,000 records. Even though you have an option of setting up the throttling in FNO, you have an option of priority throttling in FNO.
Yeah.
Even that also doesn't help when it comes to bulk import. So in your case of bulk import, recurrence is a best option. Otherwise, if the record count is more, try to split the records. For example, here you have 100 files. 100 files you can handle. For example, you
Yeah.
have 20,000 files you are importing at a time. So try to split it as multiple batches from the end system, from the source system. So in that way, you will be able to achieve this. Did I
Okay.
answer your questions, Bhupati?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Because
And here also,
I know that it's
even
a
Power
broad
Automate.
subject. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes. No, even in this particular flow also, you have an option to call the FNO. So here I have shared the HTTP as the connector here. So in Power Automate also, you have an option of FNO connector, the finance connector, where the data management APIs are exposed. You will be able to call the NQ and DQ APIs and then pass the file from your external system. So Power Automate and Logic Apps, that doesn't, I mean, both does the job of bringing the bulk data from the source system to the end system here.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So I have one question, Anita. Since we are doing this attachment option from Power Automate to Dynamics, but there's a usual requirement from many of the customers that whenever we submit for workflow, right? So they
Yeah.
want the attachment to be coming in the email as well. So by using Power Automate, can we do that? Because ideally right now with the workflow, what happens is it will only send you an URL where you have to
Correct.
click and go to 365 and check the document and whatever the things needed, and then do the approval process. But by using this functionality, can we not send the document also along with the attachment in the email?
Document, so, but I think you will not be able to attach the record in F&O until the purchase order or whatever the workflow is approved, correct? So after the approval step, we can call this API to send as attachment. Till then, you will not be able to have the editing or the uploading option in the purchase order workflow, correct? So if I remember, we have an option in Power Automate where the workflow is called and it will wait for the response. You don't even need to go to your F&O URL to approve the workflow, because you can even install in the mobile app and approve the purchase order or the workflow. And then upon the response, what the workflow, the particular step gives, based on that, you will be able to call this particular API to attach that to the particular purchase order or vendor record or sales order, whatever it is.
But ideally, the requirement is before approval, I want to see document and then do the approval process. This is our usual
Okay,
requirement.
but I don't think so, because the purchase order is, I mean, the particular record is not editable until and unless it is approved. Maybe we need to extend it, we need to customize it and then tweak that step to upload the record before approval.
These days, because we are also giving the approvals for automate using Teams also. So,
Right.
but
Yeah.
the user wants to check it and then come back and approve. So that is the challenge.
Correct.
But yes, maybe a little bit of tweaking is needed here, and then we can able to achieve this.
The standard one doesn't standard flow doesn't support upload, but maybe we need to customize it, extend those classes, and then we need to do it.
Yeah, just an idea, but we cannot send a SharePoint link where the documents are shared using this Power Automate. That link
but
we
if
cannot
you
share.
give the SharePoint link rather than sending the SharePoint link, means you need to share the link to all the users, right? You need to give the access, right? So if the user is not okay with clicking again, he has to go and click it, correct? Again, there is one more click on top of the approval. So here we need to make minimum manual interaction should be less here, right? In our use case.
Yeah, correct. Got it. Any more questions anybody has?
Anita, I want to add on this conversation. So
Yes,
in the
sir.
F&O, if we have a attachment in like in the existing purchase orders, right? Before we are approving, we are attaching the documents, right, for a particular purchase orders. So after that, the process of that workflow will be proceed with the automate. So can we see that documents on the workflow when the approval goes to the specific person? So at that time, can user see the that document in an email?
I think that is what Venkatesh also asked, right? He wants to view the attachment before the workflow is approved, correct? That is what
But
your asked
not
is also, right? Same. Sorry.
That's right. But before, like when we are creating a purchase orders, we are attaching the documents in the F&O. We are not
Okay.
going to the automate, right? So before we are
Right.
proceeding for approval, we are attaching the some documents in the that purchase orders, right? So after that, we are going for the approvals. So at the
Right.
approval time, user want to check the documents on the email. So it is possible.
No, for that, in that case, you need to extract the purchase order which has been triggered. You need to explore the option of downloading the document for that from that particular purchase order. Either you can upload it to any common storage or send it via mail. But I have not explored the part of downloading the attachment, Suresh, that we need to explore if it is possible to download dynamically when the flow is running. This is your ask, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
And same that you have done the demo, we have done the customization regarding the automized GRN. So based on that AI model, we are proceeding to the capture all the PDFs and all the documents, and based on that, we are just generating the GRN. And then after like proceeding some documents and training some documents, but in the system we are having like 2 or 3 thousand of vendors, right? So for
Right.
every vendor, we are having a different type of the documents, the format, right? So in the some format, we are not having any items like when we are importing the data from the documents. at the same time, we are not able to extract the item name or like item number. So in this time, what you suggest, like what we can do for the that process?
So here in your document, you are saying that you don't have few key fields which you have trained in the AI model, right?
Yes,
See, when you are training the AI model itself, you would have told the AI model, these are all the key fields you need to pick, correct? But in your case,
correct.
those key fields are missing. That is empty, right?
Yes, yeah.
And is it possible? And then in that is the case, do you want then to proceed with the attachment or you should skip in that case? Which will be your requirement then? If you have an
So
empty
right
for
now, what
item
we are
number,
doing, yes, right now what we are, yes, what we are doing, we are extracting the information and we are going through the Power apps. So in the Power app, we will see the documents and whatever the records is captured from the AI. So after that, we are seeing and reviewing all the documents and all the records. After that, we are just approving, and after approving the process, that GRN uh, uh, will be go in the F&O. So that will the
okay.
process. But in
But
the
if the
like
item is empty, in
as
that
I
case, you are
see,
not going to
Mhm.
proceed. Okay.
Yeah, as I see, some of the invoice are in the different forms. Like in the circle, they are giving item names or some amounts in the circle. Like in like mobile recharge document, you can see the data is showing in the different way, like in the circle you are showing the amounts or something item names. So that is the uh, point is how we can get that information from that type of the documents. This is the main concern.
So in my case, were you able to read this one? One moment. Let me share my screen. Maybe I to get it clear for you. One moment. Okay. So here. Okay. Do you see my screen, Suresh?
Yes, it's visible here.
So here, is it possible for you to filter the values? So if few
Mhm.
values are empty, don't go ahead and proceed with the particular flow, because here in my case, I have extracted the purchase order ID. Okay. So that is the purchase order. For example,
Mhm.
here I have searched purchase order value here. So which gets me the value of the particular purchase order, which I am going to upload. So in your case, if item is empty or item quantity is empty, amount is empty, can you bring some validations like this?
That we have
You
done.
should,
Yes, we have done.
so you
Yeah.
should be able to make use of the output what AI builder is giving.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, we will be able to give further validations before it reaches your end system.
Right. Yes.
Did it
Yes,
answer your
that we have
question?
done. Yeah,
Okay.
that also we have done. And in some
Okay.
case, like the vendor is also not sharing the items, right? In some
Uh,
of like they are sharing the item name instead of the item number. So
okay.
in some case, that can be a possible, like name can be a same in the different item number.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
that is the case. In that case, the system will not accurate to provide like all the information from the automate to F&O. So that will be the part when the system will take some different like wrong
Correct. So
data,
that
right?
might go and attach to a
Mm.
different vendor as well, different item also, right? Because with the item name, you will not be able to get the details of the item because that is not a unique key, correct? So item number
Right.
should be the unique key here or the product number. So if those are not
Mhm.
given, then there are high chances of the attachment getting uploaded to a
Right.
different item. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
Any more
Thanks,
questions
Anita.
from anybody?
Thanks, Suresh. Yeah. It's a learning for me as well when you give such use case scenarios.
Yes. In the same case, we are proceeding for the invoice automation also. So, in some scenarios, like we are not having any like the unique key records, so then that will be again failed.
Yeah,
So
entity always plays with the unique keys, right? So without that, it will not be
yes,
able to get the exact record which you are looking for.
yes, because
Entity key.
every yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, proceed. Yeah, please proceed. Yeah.
Yeah, because every vendor cannot give any the all information. Like some of vendor can have a like a limited details, like they are doing some manual process and giving in the invoice. So that will be also part of like when we are capturing the records from the invoice.
Okay. So even we had a similar case like that. And then for a workaround, what we did, against that item, we had created a custom field. So if the vendor, if the user is unable to send the item number, was not an item number, it was a different field. If it is, if the entity key is not is empty, what we did, we had another custom field as a reference field. So if this is empty, at least go and check whether that particular reference field is there in the system or not, in the document or not. If it is there, okay, with that, go and match the record where the reference field is available. So that, like that we did. Even we had a similar case there. You got my point. We have a custom reference field we created to
Yes.
identify if the unique key is missing in this case.
Right, right.
That's great. Anybody else has any more questions? Feel free to unmute and ask us.
Hi Anita, Shiva here.
Hi, Shiva.
So Anita, I have some basic questions as I'm new to
Mhm.
Power Platform as well as
No
integrations here.
worries.
Uh, so here in this session, I have taken doc purchase document from the purchase ledger, and you have trained the AI model, and then we got certain kind of data into that AI model, and then that particular data which has to be there that was pumped into F&O, right?
Yes.
So so in this case, like we have given the document from the AI model. In case if we want to get a data from third party to F&O, will that be possible through AI model? Do we need to?
Third party, what do you mean by third party tool? Like other other system is
Yes,
sending the
yes.
document to
For
you?
example, yeah. For example, I'm creating a sale order from different website, and then I need to get those details into AI model, and then into
Understood.
will that be possible through this OData
Yeah, you
API
have
through AI model?
various options which I have shown you in AI model, Shiva. If you see here at the moment, we are uploading the documents here. So if your third party is sending us not as a document, then this scenario will not work for your case. In my case, I have uploaded a set of documents here, okay, where I am
Okay.
training the AI model. But in your case, if there is no file being sent from the third party, either you have an option of creating a file format by yourself before sending to the AI model, or you need to check the other option in the AI model where directly reading the data is possible or not. But in that case,
Okay.
it is not possible to train it, right? Because if the
Yeah.
data is of various formats, then how do you train the AI model to pick the fields for you? So in this case, in this document AI model action, you need to have a document upload and train the model for you.
Okay. Any kind of setups are required, setups or configurations required from F&O side?
Nothing here. Whatever I have shown, I have given a complete setup. Even I have done it from scratch. So whatever setup I have done in Power Platform and FNO, I have given all the setups have been covered. One thing is in Power Platform, you need to enable that particular feature, and in FNO, you need to add the AAD key, because if you remember, I had shown the
Yes.
last step where we will be adding the authentication, right?
Authentication.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so that client ID has to be referred in FNO, because that is how it connects FNO when it is receiving the data from some third party with this client ID, it will match. Okay, this is a proper authentication, so I can accept the records. This is how FNO interprets. So this is the only setup you want to do in FNO.
So the question is here, when we trained with certain kind of fields here, like item ID or
Mhm,
something else. Item
mhm.
ID for a purchase order can be in different tables in F&O. How will we determine that this particular document will be pumping into only purchase ledger?
No. Anyway, every entity will have a key with it, correct?
Okay, it's a
So
concept of entity.
yes,
Okay.
yeah. So even if you take purchase orders, you will have a line here. In my case, I have taken purchase order header. There is an entity called purchase order line as well. So which captures purchase ID followed by the item, and other details have been captured. Inventory trans ID, lot ID, all these have been captured. So with that, you will
Okay.
be able to attach the record to the correct purchase order which you are sending.
Okay. Okay. Another question is like, so when we are having these flows, so how would we judge like we are taking the right flow into the operation which we do?
Can you tweak your question? Right flow here. What do you mean by this?
In the Power Automate, we have the flows,
Mm-hmm.
right? Different kind of
Right.
flows for different
Correct.
operations. For the second
Right.
operation we do, how do we determine that this particular flow will be right fit for me? Any kind of analysis will be there for
Understood.
that?
So this is based on the trigger Shiva. So either you can set it, there are two types you can trigger a flow. One is manual. You can set it as a recurrence. Recurrence means you are going to tell the flow, execute this every 20 minutes or 1 hour once, or every day or every week. So you can set a recurrence for the flow. The other trigger is called business event in F&O. For example, if you are doing some event in F&O where you are invoicing a customer invoice you are doing. So as soon as the customer invoice happened, you already have a standard business event set up in F&O. So
Right.
with that, you will be able to trigger this particular flow. It is not only restricted for the customer invoice, be it a shipment is confirmed, customer invoice, purchase invoice, or the purchase order is confirmed when a vendor is created. So you are going to define the event here. So as per your requirement, if such event occurs in F&O, okay, come and trigger the flow. You don't even need to monitor because that event you can automatically capture when you call that step in Power Flow.
Okay. Okay. The connection between business
Yes,
event and when kind of data or a file gets into that repository, then that is the trigger for Power
that
Automate flow.
particular flow. Yes. That is what you have two options. Which option is feasible for you? That depends on the requirement.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Got. Thank you so much, Anita.
No worries here.
Thank you. Any more questions? We are happy to answer them.
One more question regarding the import and export.
Yes.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so in the F&O, we have a like feature that we can export maximum 10 million of sales, right?
10,000 records via OData API. Yeah, 10,000 records.
Okay, so for add-in excel add-in we are having a feature that and also we are having a setup in the F&O that at the same time we can import or export up to 10 million of the sales, right? So
Yep.
when we are doing same thing from the automate, so that will be like same limitation will be applied on the automate, or that will be a different part.
F&O, the receiving file size remains the same. So in Power Automate, we have a limitation of 20 GB per file. If I am not wrong, I need to check this. So even that also it has a limitation. It cannot send a bulk file. The size limit is also there for this. For example, in Logic Apps, it will not be able to send more than 50 GB. So even we have the some kind of limitation in Power Automate also. So then in that case, we went for file splitting. So instead of sending a file which has a bulk data, we had to split the file into separate files. Then we imported. So here also you have a file limitation size here.
Okay, that I got. But like I mentioned that the 10 million of sales, so
Yeah.
that will be difficult to understand when it will be reached. We are having like 1 lakh of transactions in the Excel.
Yes.
So when I'm going to import, so I have to divide in the different part, right? So
Correct. Yeah.
that is the part when I have to understand when that limit will be exceed, right? Because that functionality is working on the cell, not for the record, right? When we are importing the records from the Excel add-in. So that is a limitation that I am not understanding the how we can perform by the cell, because we are not having the calculation by the cell, but I don't know
Okay.
how we can do this.
So here you are asking whether the Power Automate will be able to handle that file limitation, right?
Yes, yes. No, no, not
Okay.
a file limitation, the data limitation.
Data, the size,
Importing,
right?
yeah,
This much size of data. Yeah. No,
yes,
even if I remember, I had this similar scenario where, but it was not in Power Automate. It was in Logic Apps where it was only accommodating, it was only received, was only able to send 30 MB of that one time. At one time, it was able to send only 30 MB. So then we had no other option. Before that, we had to read what is the file size. We had to customize, we had to bring additional steps where if the file size is greater than so and so, okay, split it as three different files. So that logic we had to bring. So I think you have the same limitation in Power Automate as well. That maybe I will check and let you know, Suresh.
okay, okay. And one another question, it is not regarding to the automate, so if it is
Mhm.
preferable, so I just wanted to know about uh, the data lake, right?
F1O and the data lake, right?
Yeah. So data lake
So
is a part, like it's a part of a add-in and F&O. So I'm just aware about the data lake, but I'm not about know about the details. So the data lake is also exporting and importing the data from the F&O to the another environment, like in the Synapse or like in another database, right? So
no,
how
F1,
that
sorry, Suresh, sorry to interrupt. Data lake is only single direction. It only sends the data from F1O. You cannot
yeah,
bring the data from outside via data lake to F1O. That it is a different approach.
okay.
Yeah, please proceed. Yeah, please proceed. Yeah,
Yes. So any limitations when we are exporting the data from F&O to another applications or another database?
via data lake, right?
Yes, by data lake.
Okay, see, via data lake, it is you have this is the incremental approach. So the initial thing, as soon as you activate a table or entity in the data lake setup, I think you would have seen that in the screen, right? F1O screen, right? As soon as you enable, activate it,
Yes.
it takes some time to sync the records. Till that time, it will not be in running mode. It will be in initial run mode. So that says that it is bringing all the records from F1O to the end system, not end system to that particular aerial folder. And after that, going forward, everything is the incremental approach. Understood? So every time it is not going to do a full load for you. First time is only a full load, and going forward, it is an incremental load for your data. And again, if you
Right.
deactivate and activate it again, then again it triggers the full load. So it depends on activation and deactivation of that particular entity or table. And one more thing to note in ADL is if you see the file generated by ADL, it will always not have any headers. The metadata information will be separate and the data will be separate. So this is one of the limitation in ADL, but that is why you pitch in Synapse there to convert this header and other information and get it processed and sent to your end system. It's just a
Got
raw
it.
data which ADL is producing for you, where you don't have a header is separate. You have a header separate and data separate. Two different files are there.
Yes. So the data is exporting the CSV file, right?
It's in the CSV file, yes.
Yeah. So in the CSV file, so the concern is when we are putting any address, right? So any address in the address we can have like some special character like comma, semicolons. So when we are exporting the data from by the data lake, so that will be a limitation. I don't know, that will be like the data will be not going the perfect format, like when we are having some special characters, right? Because the data is exporting the CSV file, right? So
If it is a
then
comma
what will happen?
separated and if your field is having any commas, then that also will be treated as an
Yes.
additional field, even
Then
that we have seen. Yeah, and that it is
yes.
like corrupting that entire file. You will not be the system which is reading this particular file will not be able to read because of this field error in that field.
Yes. So for that, any kind of solution we can apply?
No, if it is a comma separated issues, then I think we need to manually correct it and do a data correction in F1. But
Yes.
what else we can do otherwise? But since the file it is a huge data load, right? So manually going and seeing is not possible. So only when the end system which is consuming this file gives some error, then we will be able to find, okay, this particular record is having this additional comma, and that is the reason we had this issue. So it involves some manual intervention, Suresh. That doesn't have automatic correction here.
Right. Yes. Because recently we had done that process and suddenly we got some wrong data, so we just found, but you can see, as you mentioned, we cannot see manually in the database where the error is there. So because
Yes,
uh, the data will be in a lakh or in a millions, right? So that
right,
will be a difficult part to get the correct data,
correct.
right? So
Yes,
yes.
so that we have some manual effort here to initiate some data correction or like that.
Actually,
Right,
just
right.
to add, there are some ETL tools which does this kind of activities. Just like let's say we have four records in one field, and in each field there is a comma or extra or something. So there are some tools which can optimize, saying that all the special characters can be omitted and only transform the activity of whatever the record value is there. So using that kind of tools, you can actually modify the data and back to your database and load them up. So there are some tools available in market, open source also they are available. So maybe you can check those tools and use and do the migration, because we also faced a similar issue when we are migrating from other legacy system to F&O. We have the data, but the problem is sometimes the user has a common mistake that they put a comma extra, they put a dot extra. So that finding it itself is difficult because the database is very huge and
Correct.
doing it.
Yeah.
So these kind of tools helped us and doing the migration easier.
Especially
Right.
when you are exporting this customer entity record, right, Venkatesh, where you have an address, and obviously you will have for address multiple commas, right? And that is
Yes.
when most of the time it will be a flop.
Right.
Yeah. Specifically customer master, vendor master, these
True.
two are.
Where the address is involved, that will be a major task for us.
Right. Right. And one another question regarding data lake chain. So when we want to enable some the custom table for a data lake, so when I have tried to enable that the table, customized table, I was not able to see in the database data lake. So after that, I reviewed that. So I found we need to create a primary key in the that specific table. So is it required or no?
Yes, primary key is required when you need to enable in data lake. It's
Okay.
everything is like
So
entity based, right, Suresh? So without primary
yes,
key or entity key, it is not possible here.
but we can also extract the data by the tables, right?
Yeah, you have two options. One is entity and one
Okay.
is table. So you have two options
Yes.
in F1O to export to data lake. If you want to
Okay.
enable the entity, the base tables for that entity also has to be enabled, because table only is sending the data for you, right? So for example, if you are sending enable the customer entity, it has many data sources, correct? So all these data sources, the tables has to be enabled first, followed by the entity. So this is one of the base requirement. So it is not blindly that you can go and enable the entity, because entity is just a virtual collection, right? So it is not able to do anything by itself. So for that, the base is table. So tables has to be enabled first.
Okay. So in that case, if we want to export the data for like inventory transaction, then it will be like is it possible to export the inventory transactions by the data lake?
Yeah, invent trans table is available, right? For last time we did for general ledger trans. So that one we did. In one transactions, I think we have an entity also for that. We have some standard out of box entity in FNO, right? So if that is, if I remember, yes, in one transaction is also there. Yeah, but that will be a huge, because obviously inventory transaction, it's across the system, right? So that will take some time to do an initial sync.
Yes. Okay, got it. And one another question, like when we are having a data like within the cross company, like sharing a data with the cross sharing company. So we have a feature in the F&O, right? So when we are sharing a data by the like we have a customers and we are using cross sharing data by the that cross sharing data sharing functionality. So when we are exporting that data, we need to ensure that we have to like primary key with the data area ID, right?
You are saying about the copy cross company feature, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Because there you already have a, when you create a copy, that setup is there, it will already give you a list of fields. So in that, mandatory is a primary key. Without that, you will not be able to enable it.
Okay.
So you are trying for your custom table.
Yes.
Yes. And one best practice, Suresh, please keep in mind, do not create any table without a primary key. Usually it is a best practice suggested by Microsoft where an index has to be defined. So that we need to keep in mind. So mostly 99.99% we will be creating a table with the primary key, and where we'll be defining the index, right? Because that would have an impact on the performance. So that also we need to take care of.
Yeah, got it.
Thank you so much, Suresh, for asking us the
Yes.
right questions.
Thanks for the questions, for keeping the session interactive and active. Thanks, Suresh.
Yes, for making us the brainstorming.
Thank you
And
to also.
thank you, Suresh.
Yes,
So
please.
just in a matter of time, as we already extended 9 more minutes as per plan. Sorry. Somebody wants to speak?
No, I think no, everybody on mute only. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So just we have already extended 10 more minutes of our time, and thank you so much everybody for joining us and reaching us. And you still have any questions, feel free to reach us directly over as LinkedIn or to our user groups. We are happy to help, and thank you so much. Happy weekend, everyone.
Happy weekend, everyone. Yeah. Thanks, Venkatesh.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
thanks a lot, everybody. Yeah, thanks all. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.